This podcast is a part of the Podmania podcasting network. Check out podmania.co.uk to check out more of our great podcasts, features, reviews, match ratings and previews spanning the crazy and diverse world of professional wrestling. To the Stardom Cast, your weekly audio source of all things world-wondering Stardom right here on the Podmania Podcasting Network. I'm your host, Rob Goodwin, and I'm joined as ever by Matt Turner. Matt, how are you, my friend?
I am excellent as always, good sir, for several reasons. One, always a pleasure to talk to you and our listeners at the Stardom Cast. And another reason why I'm super excited is we were just 2 days away from not only the return of Kairi Sane, Kairi Hojo, Kairi, whatever you want to call her, but we just did our review yesterday. And even if you take, I was just looking at the card again, even if you take away the two Kairi matches, those are still two absolutely A-plus shows, slam banger shows, as you say, sir.
Oh, yeah, 100%. There's no way they're relying on the Kairi matches. Yes, of course, it's an excellent bump to have Kairi on there, and I'm sure that will sell extra tickets. But even if that hadn't have been a thing, they would have done well on the back of these cards. They literally left nothing on the table. They threw everything at these two shows, didn't they?
Yes, absolutely. And then we're just a few days away from after that, the Cinderella Tournament, which is another reason why we're here talking to each other and talking to you over there at the podcast world.
Yeah, absolutely. Today we are going through, this is our Bracketology episode of the Cinderella Tournament. Now, obviously, myself and Matt are, well, me in particular, is famed for terrible, terrible predictions that never, ever, ever come true. So what is going to happen is, I have got 3 interactive brackets. Why 3, Rob? I hear you cry. Well, there's a very, very good reason, which Matt let me in on just before we started recording. Basically, I am going to fill out these brackets for us as we go through, and then once the episode's released on April 1st, maybe a little bit earlier, depending how nice I feel, we will release the brackets as well and get you to vote on who you think is the best on Twitter out of me, Matt, the 2 people that do a podcast on Stardom, or Matt's wife, who is that desperate and that competitive to be a part of this, that she has sat and filled one out, Matt, hasn't she?
Yeah, I literally just kind of wrote it out freehand. I sent her the bracket that was on, I think, We Are Stardom, and she literally just went and printed it out and was like, here you go, here's what I have. And if there was any of my my listeners from my old podcast, calling it in the Power Ring with my tag partner Andy Header, that remembers whenever we would do the New Japan G1 Climax, you would remember, I think she won 2 out of the 3 years that we had it. And again, we do a podcast and we're both involved in wrestling and actually had friends that work over in New Japan. So it was like, yeah, she won like 2 out of 3 years, like beating us. So that's why she's like, yeah, I'll do. Yeah, I would like to do one. I'm like, all right, here we go.
Now, I will make a little admission right now. I filled no brackets out. I was going to, and then the more I thought about it, the more I was like, you know what? I'm going to do it live on the podcast. I know roughly who I think the final is going to be, and I've flip-flopped between who I think the winner is going to be, but I'm going to fill it out live on the podcast. So you're going to hear me sort of slowly disintegrating into just a pool of just stress as I realize I've accidentally eliminated Starlight Kid, or I've accidentally eliminated Julia, or something like that. It will either be the greatest bracket in the history of brackets, or it will be an absolute mess. We will we'll soon find out.
You know what? When we got done doing the World Climax preview yesterday, we hung up and I'm like, man, that might have been our best podcast we've ever done. I thought that was really good. And I got a feeling that this one, just because of the sheer part of my language shit show that this could be, this might beat it. We might be a one-day reign.
Right, so let's delve straight into this. Obviously, the first round matches are going to be taking place on the 3rd of April. Then the second round matches and I believe the quarterfinals are going to be taking place on the 17th. And then the semifinals and final are going to be taking place on the 29th of April at Ota-Ward City Gymnasium. Now, we are recording this on the 24th of March, which obviously is before all of the World Climax things. Now, we might release this episode on the 1st of April, and everything we say might already be outdated. But we're going to go for it anyway, because hopefully it'll all be fine. So, Matt, let's start with you. The first match of the first round, Himika versus Rucker. Who do you have?
Himika.
I must admit, I am the exact same. I think Himika wins it. And your wife has...
Amber as well.
Amber has Himika as well. Okay, so clean sweep to start with. Himika going over Ruaka, and obviously that means that Himika will meet Suri in the second round. Obviously, Suri has a bye from that first round. We then go on to match 2, which is Hazuki versus Amasaki. Who have you got there, Matt?
I have Hazuki. My wife went with the upset. Amber went with Mayu.
You're joking. Wow.
No. He has both of them circled and then has a no by Hazuki with an X over it. I don't want to text her and ask her, but that's who I'm going to say. So she just listens to the podcast anyway because she hears my voice enough. So, yeah, she's got Mayu, Hazuki circled here.
Wow. Honestly, if she wins this, Matt, I swear to God. I'm also getting Hazuki, just because I don't see Amasaki upsetting Hazuki here. I just don't. Now, this is the first one where I'm a little bit, oh God. We move on to Azumi versus Momo Watanabe. Who have you got, Matt?
The fans win on this one. No, I have Azumi, and Amber went the opposite way. She went with Momo.
Right, so you've gone Azumi, and Matt's wife Amber has gone for Momo Watanabe. Now.
Flip a coin, brother.
Yeah.
Like, really?
It really could be
the final.
Anyone.
That could be the final. That could be the final of this and the 5-star. No one would complain.
Now, I've been burnt by Azumi before in the Cinderella Tournament.
I know.
Most notably last year where she got eliminated by Rena of all people, and that should have been an absolute slam dunk. I'm going to go Azumi. She's got to win here. You know, she's got to get something over Momo Watanabe. Otherwise, it's fairly ineffectual as well. If Momo just gets eliminated over the top rope, she loses nothing from that. So I'm going to go Azumi. Or do I go Momo? No, I'm going Azumi. Final thing, I've typed it. Juliet versus Tekla then. Who have you got?
We're all the same in the Turner household. Me and my beautiful bride have Julia.
I'm completely in agreement with you. This is not the most controversial podcast, Matt, as we've got the exact same prediction so far.
That means Ruaka's going to win, and that means Tekla's going to win.
Amber's going to win.
Shut up.
Amber is 100% going to win. I know she is. As we carry on down these first round matchups then, Koguma versus Fukikin Death. This is another tricky one, Matt. This one could quite literally go either way. You can never bet against Death in situations like this.
No, you're absolutely right. I think this is going to be the quickest first round match, just because I think going to go really fast. It'll probably be like 3-4 minutes of really good stuff. But me and Amber both have Koguma, however you pronounce it. Sorry.
No.
I'm excited.
Okay, so we've got Koguma and Koguma. Right. I am going to go against the grain.
Ooh.
I think Death wins it. The way both Koguma and Death wrestle, I can see it being a 3-minute comedy match with Death rolling her up whilst doing the bear thing. I can just see that happening. So I'm going Fukikin Death there. So I've got Julie versus Fukikin Death in the second round. That's the only one me and you have differed on so far. And obviously, I should have said this before. Please go out of your way to fill out your own bracket at the same time. I'd love to see your brackets, how you think this is going to pan out on Twitter or Instagram or Facebook, wherever you follow us. I'd love to see it. Matt, another first round matchup then. Saya Iida versus Rina. Who have you got?
Both in agreement. Saya Iida. Both me and Amber.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think Saya Iida takes that. Poor Rina. And then finally, and this is another one that could go either way, Lady C versus Mae Sakurai.
Yeah, this is another tough one, flip of a coin, but I have Lady C, and so does Amber. We both have Lady C on that one.
Okay, now. Okay. Well,
I know. Look at the next match.
It's one of those where I'm looking at it and going, Lady C should win it. But if our predictions of the World Climax come true and Mae Sakurai is the future of Stardom champion, that's Lady C's level at the moment. So do you have the champion go over Lady C, or do you have Lady C go over Mae Sakurai to then set up a challenge for the belt? Of course, all this goes out the window if Mae Sakurai doesn't come out of World Climax weekend with the belt, but that's irrelevant. I'm going to go Lady C as well. Simply because I think that'll be set. We disagreed yesterday, didn't we, on how many defenses we think Mae Sakurai will get before she gets the Waka match. I think Lady C could be a perfect little mini feud going into it. Let's move across then to the other side of the bracket then, and we go to the first match. Obviously, Sayaka Mitani has got a bye into the second round, which means that Hanan versus Micah is the first match. I'm going to go first on this one. I'm going to go first on this side of the bracket, and I think I'm probably in agreement with you, Micah.
Yeah, we're all three of us, Micah.
All three of us are going Micah, obviously last year's finalist. We go then to the next one down, and this one, Starlight Kid versus Natsupoi. I've said I'm going first on this side of the bracket. I really don't want to.
I'll go.
Go on, you go. Give it to me.
We both have Starlight Kid, so there's a little more pressure for you.
Oh, Jesus. Your wife's gone Starlight Kid. I genuinely thought Natsupoi was Amber's favourite.
It is. Natsupoi is Amber's favorite. She likes the wrestlers that move. Like, she's a big fan of Will Ospreay. She wants to see movement. That's what she wants to see. But yeah, she's a big fan of Natsupoi. But again, this is she bets with her brain, not her heart. If this was me, this would be Tam versus Momo versus Mayu versus a returning Io Shirai final. If I had my way, but no, Amber bets with her brain, not her heart.
Okay, I'm also going to go Starlight Kid. I think that's probably the. I know she is a lot of people's favorite to win this tournament. Yeah, let's go. Before I talk myself out of it, let's move on to the next round. Heena versus Unagi Sayaka. I'll go first on this one. This is Unagi's for me.
Yeah, all three of us got, yep. Me and Amber both Unagi as well.
Okay. Now, you raised a very, very good point, and I don't know whether you've talked yourself out of it with this next match. The next match is Momo Kogo versus Mayu Iwatani. Now, you raised the very good point that Mayu could very well eliminate herself, but that Momo getting the surprise victory over Mayu wouldn't be the worst thing, would it? Especially with that over-the-top rope elimination that you can get in this tournament.
Yeah, and Amber went with Mayu, and I'm going bracket buster here. I kind of blurted it out, I think yesterday we were talking about it, and I think just due to the fact that like there's really no ginormous prize other than bragging rights on here, I figured you got to do some sort of bracket bust in the first round, and I'm going Momo Kogo.
You're going Momo Kogo to go over Mayu. Wow. That really is bracket busting. Wow. That's okay.
If we were betting like $20 per thing, I wouldn't even think twice to see Mayu. But you got to throw an upset in there as well. And not only that, like, what does this do for Mayu if she loses in the first round? Nothing. She's Mayu Iwatani. She's the legend. She's the icon. But it would do so much for Momo Kogo. Even if she took like 4 minutes of heat, did 2 or 3 moves, and then just dumped Mayu over the top. It would do so much for Momo Kogo's career. And she's in Stars. So, I mean, I think it would give her a good shot in the arm. So that's my one upset. And then I have another one in the first round that you may even scratch your head about. But go ahead. Who do you have on this one?
I'm getting Mayu. I can completely see your point. And don't forget, last year, Mayu was eliminated because of a weather tie. So there is always that, of course, that, she's in a feud with about 400 people. So there's every possibility that Mayu gets eliminated because of shenanigans and nefarious means. So let's, yes, it might seem outrageous that we have Momo go over Mayu Iwatani here, but in the grand scheme of things, crazier things have happened. We move on then to the next match, which is Saki Kashima versus Waka Sukiyama. Matt, yourself and Amber.
Saki.
Both?
Yep, both have Saki, yes, sir.
Yeah, I am in agreement with you, partly because it's my storyline, the thing I'm hanging my hat on, that Waka is not going to pick up a victory until she beats Mae Sakurai for the future belt. So I'd like to see again her give a really, really good performance, maybe even almost win, but you can't bet against Saki, and you certainly can't bet against Oedatai. Plus, for me anyway, this sets up Iwatani versus Saki in the next round, which is always fun, considering their history. Mirai versus Mina Shirakawa then. Matt, yourself?
This is going to be a nice first-round hard-hitting match. I have Mirai, and so does Amber.
Okay, I don't disagree with you. I think this is going to be. In fact, when we first announced the brackets a couple of podcasts ago, a couple of our patrons actually said it was a match that they were really looking forward to, which is testament to how much Mina's improved, in my opinion. But also, the styles will mesh very well, I believe, between these two. But I do think Mirai goes over here as well. I think they're Stardom are a little bit higher on Mirai in that sort of capacity. And then I bet I can guarantee who you've got going forward in this last first round match. So Tamnicano versus Utami Hayeshister. Matt, do I need to ask who you've put going forward in this?
Well, actually, yeah. So again, I like to give our listeners a little backstory. So last Friday, I was out to dinner. It was me, Amber, my sister-in-law, and my brother-in-law. And we're all having a good time. The food's going down well. The drinks are going well. And this is how my brain works. And we're having a nice time. Everything's going well. And then the thought popped in my head. I think Tam could win the whole entire tournament, win the whole Cinderella. She was going to get a red belt shot before she got sick. And again, you put Tam in that Cinderella dress at the end of this tournament, take a picture, put that on the cover of the Japanese magazine Weekly Pro Wrestling. It's going to sell a lot of copies. So the next day, I text you, and I kind of figured, you may somewhat agree with me. And then you said, and I quote, "Do you think Tam's going to win, or do you want Tam to win?" That's something completely different. And I thought to myself, son of a gun, I think he's right. I think he's got a point. So I had to bet with my brain here, not my heart. Now my wife, she has Utami winning. You ready for this, sir? Are you ready? Are you sitting down?
Of course.
Time limit draw.
Wow, you're eliminating both of them.
Time limit draw. So here's what I think is going to happen. The match will be going on. It'll get right to the nitty gritty, right towards the end. Tam will hit her finisher, but will not have enough time for the 3 count. He'll hit her finisher. Oh, what's it called? Twilight what?
Twilight Dream.
Twilight Dream. And speaking of the dream, living the dream, Stardom's 10th anniversary year in review by my good friend Rob Goodwin. I've waited all day to record that one, baby.
Someone commented on the podcast on Patreon. I think it was Colin. And it's just said, Matt is absolutely killing it with these transitions at the moment. Love it.
How about that?
Amazing.
But I do have this one time limit draw. I think that one of these matches is going to go to a time limit draw, and I think this is the one.
I'd be very surprised if this doesn't go to a time limit draw. I'll be perfectly honest. But for the sake of, doing something different, I'm going to go Utami. Just to be different, like I say. But I think that's a very, very, very good shout, the time limit draw for this match, because it's one of the real barn burner first round matches. And again, I know that in the first round, they are only going 10 minutes.
Yeah.
So the chances are we're not going to get an absolute, stellar in-ring match. However, I still think these two could do a fantastic amount. Pardon me. So we have filled out our first rounds. Hopefully, if you've been doing this at the same time at home, you have got your first rounds set up as well. So let's go into our second round. So we have got Suri versus Himika. All three of us have got that. Matt, who have you got going forward there?
I have the champ, and so does my beautiful bride. Both have Siri going into the next one. Yep.
So you've got Suri going forward. This is where we differ. I'm going Himika, and the reason I'm going Himika is twofold. One, she needs a little bit more exposure. She's been kept away from the red belt and the white belt scene. She's had one white belt shot since she entered the company, and that was way back in 2020 in a relatively underwhelming match against Julia. I liked it, but I know quite a few people didn't. And I think she's due a title shot. I think she fits the idea of a Cinderella Tournament winner, and I think a win over Suri here, even if she doesn't go all the way, a win over Suri sets up a red belt match between her and Suri. And obviously you've got all of the things that are going on in DDM at the moment, all of the, what's the word I'm looking for, all of the uncertainty. So I think an all DDM match followed by an actual upset, really, when you consider it. And again, with the rule set, Suri doesn't have to lose face here. So I'm going Himika. I think this is tailor-made to give Himika the rub, to be perfectly honest. So I believe myself and Yuma have got Hazuki versus Azumi in the second round. And again, I did forget to mention that the second round onwards, the time limit is 15 minutes. It's up to 15 minutes. And then your lovely wife has got, I believe, Amasaki versus Momo. So who do you have going forward out of Hazuki and Azumi?
Azumi, and Amber will go with Azumi's former tag partner, Momo.
Right, so Watanabe for Amber, Azumi for your good self. I'm going Azumi as well. Again, I know I have been burned multiple times by Azumi, but I'm putting all my eggs in one basket. Okay, I think this is
the new hairdo, brother. The new
I can just. I mean, Azumi versus Suzuki is going to be a great match anyway, but I'm going with Azumi coming out on top. Again, you can't discount someone who is so proficient in quick roll-ups. And again, it's a tournament where you can get eliminated over the top rope, so anything can go. I've got next Julia versus Fukikin Death, and yourself and Amber have both got Julia versus Koguma. Matt, who do you think?
We both have Julia.
Both have Julia. I also have Julia. Unfortunately, I don't see the clown giving another upset. I think Julia deposits Death in fairly quick order. And then I believe all three of us have got Sayaka versus Lady C in the second round.
This might be the chop match. You have a battle of the two big choppers. This might be the mini version of Kobashi versus Kensuke Sasaki from the Tokyo Dome from a handful of years ago. But I have Sayaka, and so does Amber. Both have Sayaka.
Okay, so Sayaka going through there. I have to agree, in fairness. I did briefly consider putting that down as a time limit draw. But I think, is Saida slightly higher on the totem pole? I think yes. But yeah, I think Saida will come out on top. Moving across to the other side of the bracket, then, I think all three of us have got a rematch from the 2021 Cinderella final with Sayaka Mitani and Maika. Matt, I'm going to go first on this. I think Maika gets her win back against the possibly not white belt champion. What about you?
My wife is in agreement with you, but I am not. I have Saya. She has Maika.
Right, okay. Why do you think Saya goes over here?
I just think with her coming off the white belt, whether it's win or loss, and she has a bye, I just think that she'll get a little bit further than what would be her first match. But then again, you have Sherry losing in her first match and Saya losing. That's interesting. You don't have either of, as of this recording, either champion going into the jam-packed weekend, either person with a bye going past their first match. That's interesting. And they're wrestling the tag team of I Will Clothesline You to Death.
Such a catchy name. No, I don't. But again, if this was a single elimination tournament where you are only eliminated by submission or pinfall, then I'd potentially rethink my brackets. But where, you can, especially with Saya, who does so many springboard moves, that you can quite easily see as someone knocking her off the rope or something like that, and she doesn't lose face in that way. So I see it happening. To be perfectly honest, I do see Maika lariating her off the top rope as she tries to do a springboard dropkick or something.
Like Stan Hansen,
like Stan Hansen, but with a lot more control and far less short-sightedness.
Are you trying to say Stan Hansen was very, what's the word I'm looking for, not clean with the clothesline, that he just couldn't see where he was aiming?
I am saying that, bless him, one of the greatest, but he threw a lariat, and if you were in the way, it was your job to make sure that you took it correctly, because he was throwing it no matter where you were in the ring. Let's put it that way.
Love it. We have Stan Hansen talk on a podcast that we're titling Cinderella. This is great.
Oh, absolutely. The thought of Stan Hansen in a Cinderella dress, wow, tremendous.
Holy jeez, we better continue, sir.
Starlight Kid versus Unagi Sayaka. We have got, I think all three of us have got that as the next round. Matt, who have you got going fourth?
Me and Amber both have Starlight Kid. And I know a lot of people I talk to have Unagi going much deeper in the tournament. So it just was a tough one, but me and Amber both have the SLK.
Now. I wish Unagi wasn't here. Because if it wasn't Unagi versus Starlight Kid,
folks.
I genuinely think Unagi would go deep in the tournament. I think Unagi's semi-final material.
So
I know she did get through to
the Unagi.
No. No, I'm not.
Oh.
Now, Unagi did make it through to the semi-finals last year. No, I'm getting Starlight Kid. I mean, my only other option really was to do a time limit draw. And I do think there will be one. I don't know where.
I don't think it'd be anything out of the first round, though. That's what I think. Is you get to the second or third round, you have a draw. But didn't in 2018? Now I'm talking myself out. 2018, there was a draw in the semifinal, if I'm remembering correctly, and then that's how Momo won. She won her semifinal match. I forget who was in it, but I think if I just going back and watching the Momo, I think I mention all the time, just going back and watching the Momo white belt review, I watched the Cinderella tournament, which basically springboarded towards their match with Io Shirai. But I think, and I could be wrong, if I'm wrong, everyone please tell me, that she won her semifinal match, and then the other semifinal match went to a draw. So she got a bye into the final and won.
Interesting. I'll have to have a look at that. I don't know off the top of my head, I'll be honest.
I could have been drinking. That's a possibility. I could have been drinking.
It was in the same night out where you thought Tamnicano was going the entire way. We've got Mayu Iwatani and Saki Kashima, or at least me and Amber have. You have got Momo Kogo versus Saki Kashima. So, Matt, with you having the different matchup, what have you got?
I have Saki Kashima, and Amber has Mayu Iwatani.
Okay, interesting. I am also going to go with Saki Kashima. For the same reason I'm eliminating Sayaka Matani in this round. I think an over-the-top rope elimination for Mayu makes sense here. Obviously, she's got a lot of history with Saki, and I do see Saki beating Mayu here. I see Mayu beating herself. We've seen multiple times Mayu being this arrogant, getting too caught up in the moment and becoming quite arrogant and dismissive, and therefore a bit careless. And I can see Saki either eliminating her over the top rope as she goes for the moonsault, or Mayu taking the time, as she did at, I believe, Tokyo Dream Cinderella, where she took ages trying to hit the tombstone, and then
the empty arena match, yeah,
and Saki rolled her up. So no, this is where they lost Starlight Kid.
Oh no, I'm thinking it was the empty arena match where Mayu finally got her win over Saki, where she had her on the tombstone, and like you could have ate a sandwich, smoked a cigarette, took a nap, and then woke up, and then she hit the tombstone.
Yeah,
that's what I was thinking of.
She's so lackadaisical sometimes that I do genuinely think that Saki is the person to take advantage of that. So I'm going Saki Kashima into the quarterfinals. We've then got, you obviously have got Mirai advancing because of the time limit draw in the first round. So Mirai is automatically in the quarterfinal for you. Amber, has she gone Mirai or has she gone Utami?
She went with Utami, and I'm looking at her bracket, and that gives us the sexiest matchup of that next round, Utami and Mayu.
Absolutely.
Damn it, she might be onto something. Jesus.
I mean, she's got some decent matchups in those Her quarterfinals are Suri versus Momo, Julia versus Sayarida, Micah versus SLK, and Mayu versus Utami. Jesus. I would not be disappointed there. I am going to go Mirai. I think Mirai gets the victory over Utami in Lariat 2 Electric Boogaloo. So that leaves us with the quarterfinal brackets all sorted. Let's move on to the semi-finals then. Matt, in the semi-finals, you've got Suri versus Azumi. Who have you got going forth?
Well, this would be not the semis. This is the quarterfinals.
Sorry, the quarterfinals. Who's going into the semis is what I meant.
I have Azumi.
Azumi, wow, going over the champ. Interesting.
Yes, and that also can set up and I think she's going to pin her. She pinned her before in the 5-star, and I think she's actually going to pin her. In this way, they can always do a return. Somewhere down the road where she's like, "Hey, I pinned you. I want a title shot." So, and they have a lot of stock in Azumi coming off that Starlight Kid match, and she's grown her hair out, which we've mentioned all the time. That might be the new. Let's get the cheap plug on Rob's book is Azumi's hairdo. I think that's what I'm going to go with. I believe if you're looking at the bracket correctly, and I'm looking at my bracket correctly, it's Momo and Siri, right? From what Amber has?
Yeah, it is indeed.
She has the champ going over.
Okay, Suri making her way into the semi-finals. So I've got Himika versus Azumi, and I have got Himika going over there. Let's move on to the other quarterfinal on that side of the bracket, which I believe all three of us have got as Julia versus Sayada. Are we all in agreement there that Julia goes over?
Yep.
Okay, so we've got all of us with Julia going into the semi-finals as well. That's fine. Other side of the brackets then. Micah versus Starlight Kid. For Amber, what does she say?
He's got Starlight Kid.
Starlight Kid going over Micah. Interesting. Okay, yourself? What have you got for Saya versus Starlight Kid?
I have Starlight Kid as well.
Setting up a potential white belt match? Are you thinking?
Oh, possibility. But then again, you may have over the dinner table. I love giving everybody this inside information. Over the dinner table, we did talk about your pick for Utami over Saya, and I was like, I think Rob might be onto something. So we will see. A lot of this stuff is going to get shaken up by what happens this weekend. So
yeah, agreed. I mean, this is a coin flip for me, to be perfectly honest.
What's your match again? I'm sorry.
I'm Micah versus Starlight Kid. I'm the same as Amber.
Okay.
Do I go Starlight Kid or do I go Micah? Ultimately, it's not going to affect my bracket too much, so I'm going to go Starlight Kid as well. I just think that there's more stock at the moment in Starlight Kid if you think about what she's got recently. I think it makes more sense for Starlight Kid to go deeper in this tournament than Micah. And again, Micah was last year's finalist, so she doesn't need it. I do think she'll win the Cinderella at some point, just by the by, but I don't think it's going to be here. And then I believe I have got Saki versus Mirai. You've got Saki versus Mirai. And then your wife has got Mayu versus Utami. So let's start with Amber.
She's got the better matchup than us. No disrespect to Saki or Mirai, but she's got Utami beating Mayu Iwatani.
Wow.
Which that should be an absolute banger of a match. She booked this pretty well, now that I'm thinking about it.
Genuinely, the only thing I'd have done different on your wife's bracket is maybe have Mayu go through there. So you've got Starlight Kid versus Mayu, and then have Starlight Kid go over Mayu, finally. But yeah, that's still a very good bracket. Jesus, Suri and Julia in one semi-final, and Starlight Kid and Utami in the other semi-final. Good grief, yeah. Give her the book. Give her the book, Rossi. Yourself, you have Saki versus Mirai. I'm going to assume, and again, if you assume you make an ass out of you and me, I believe you're going to go Mirai. Am I right?
Left-handed lariats for everyone, brother. You got it.
Absolutely, because I am exactly the same. So, we move on then. The semi-finals. Matt, in your semi-finals, you've got Azumi versus Julia and Starlight Kid versus Mirai. Amber has got Suri versus Julia and Starlight Kid versus Utami. And then I have got Himika versus Julia, and I've got Starlight Kid over Mirai. Let's start with Amber, Matt. Suri versus Julia. Who's she got?
I don't know if this has ever happened before, but she's got the champ going to the finals.
The champ going to the finals. Interesting. So Suri in the final. Your good self, sir. What have you got in the semi-final? In the final.
I guess I have the same. I have one of the champs going to the final. I have Azumi.
Right, Azumi going to the final. I know where you're going with this. I've just noticed.
I think I mentioned it last week, and I was like, maybe I'll talk myself out of it, and I didn't.
I'm going Himika. I think Himika finally gets her win over Julia. All of this dissension in DDM, having Himika first go over Suri and then go over Julia, I just think it makes good booking sense. You want to book this powerhouse, and obviously if we're going to have two separate factions, Himika is going to be utilized more. And I think giving her this high-profile run in the tournament is certainly going to help that. So I've got Himika going into the final. So, the second semi-final, Starlight Kid versus Utami Hayeshister for Amber. Who has she got going into the final from that?
She has Utami.
Wow. Now. A rematch in the Cinderella final. I mean, that's not a bad shout. That does look good. That bracket does look very, very good. I don't think this will be the final. Gut instinct, I don't think this will be the final. But that is a very tasty bracket. She has booked that very, very well.
Yeah.
For someone who doesn't watch the product as well, that's tremendous. I assume in your final, Matt, we are having a rematch of the tremendous Cinderella Journey and Nagaoka match, are we? Azumi versus Starlight Kid.
I have this one time limit draft. No, I totally kidding. Yeah, I have Starlight Kid and Azumi in my final.
That's another great final. Now, Starlight Kid or Mirai. I mean, a Mirai versus Himika final. Ooh,
and the final, right? So it's going to be an all-lariat.
Oh, yeah. All lariat
final. Under over. If that is the final, then what we'll do is maybe we'll put something on the Twitter poll. We can't do it because it's this the same. But we do like an under over on how many lariats in that final.
Do you know what? I'm gonna go Mirai.
I talked you into it. How about that? Boy, you can tell I'm in sales.
Yes, I agree. You are a very, very, very convincing man. However, I just like the idea of Himika's running this tournament being all the DDM members. I really like that.
Ooh, I didn't even see that. Wow, good play, sir. Good play.
That's just what I think, to be honest. So our finals, as we sit right now, our finals, okay, Matt's is Azumi versus Starlight Kid. Amber has got Suri versus Utami Hayeshister, and I have got Himika versus Mirai. Interesting that we were quite similar early on, Matt, and then we've come up with completely different finals, all three of us. That's quite cool.
Yeah, and I know I talked to a lot of our Patreons and just a lot of people just in general who they thought was going to win. And I thought everybody would kind of be in the similar, like what their final four was. And everybody, a lot of people were different. A lot of people think Azumi. A lot of people think Utami. They think maybe Mayu gets another crack at it. Unagi's going to go deep. Again, it's like her and Starlight Kid are going to be in the second round. You have Micah and Himika, who they're trying to push. Where does the upset happen? Does Mayu get an upset? Does Momo get an upset and go to the second or third round? There's a lot of really good possibilities. But yeah, as the three of us are here, we have completely different finals, which is interesting, and it's going to be super fun to watch to see how this unfolds.
Absolutely. So, without further ado, Matt, who has Amber got as her Cinderella Tournament 2022 winner?
She has the former champ overcoming Suri to win the Cinderella Tournament. And her reasoning behind it was, well, she goes, I know that from what you were saying, per the Wrestling Observer, they want to do another Utami Suri match because of all the buzz the two matches from last year had. And this is my wife saying, not me, and which she's absolutely right. And there's all this buzz coming off Kari's return. So why wouldn't you run this match back twice when you have more eyes on it? Plus, they had one draw. Siri had one win. So now Utami gets a win. So they're 1-1-1 going back into the big rematch that'll probably happen at some big venue, probably somewhere in the beginning of the summer. And I was like, even though Siri's the champ, you may think she's the underdog going in because she just lost the most recent match to Utami and the champion for over 400 days. And I thought to myself, wow, that is brilliant booking. Brilliant.
I honestly, despite the fact that I don't see them running a Suri and Utami final, her logic is completely sound. Yeah, absolutely. Jesus.
You're so smart. Now, you got to keep in mind, too, this isn't somebody that's, I don't think, watched a lick of wrestling until we got together 13 years ago. Like, none of it. So it's just like I've been watching, since I was 3, I'm going to be 40, like 36, 37 years. And I was like, how does she see that and I don't?
Because of your love for Tam. It blinds you, my friend.
No, I have her out in the first round.
Go on then, Matt. I think I probably know who you're going for, but who have you got winning the Cinderella this year?
I got Starlight Kid winning it.
Yeah, I did think that was who you were going for. I wondered if you'd changed, but yeah, it's another tasty looking bracket. I mean, running another Azumi versus Starlight Kid match, especially after all the buzz they got from Cinderella Journey and Nagaoka, it makes perfect sense. So, yeah, I like that. I am going to go with Himika. Himika over Mirai in the final, and I think that sets up another championship opportunity for Himika, which she does deserve. And if you look at the way I've booked my bracket, she's gone over Suri, she's gone over Julia, she's gone over Mirai. The only way I could have made that any better was if she'd have beaten Micah in the final. But I feel like DDM's done from that moment. There's going to be people being drafted to other factions. There's going to be infighting. There's going to be all this. And I just think that Himika sort of rising out of the rubble of DDM as this monster, not even a heel, but monster who just runs through the field, proving herself against the likes of Suri and Julia, the people who she's been in the shadow of, and then beating Mirai, who Julia has bought in as effectively, in some regard, a replacement. I think it makes sense. So I'm getting Himika versus Mirai in the final, and Himika going over. So there are brackets.
You have it.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we'll be putting these on Twitter, so please make sure you go and vote for who you think has got the better bracket and why you do indeed think it is Amber. looking at looking at your bracket, Matt, is there anything you look at and go, what's the one thing you're not sure about? Like, what's the one thing you are not, like, confident on?
There's a lot, brother. There's a lot. I mean, Azumi Momo. I have Azumi going to the final. She can get bounced the first round. Obviously, the two kind of out of left field predictions in the first round, the Utami Tamdra and the Mayu getting eliminated from the first round. That's something I'm not not confident on as well. But I mean, you don't know. You don't know. How about you? Is there anything that you're looking at your bracket and just think, well, it's already set in stone, but maybe I'm not sure on something? Is there something that you're not sure of there, sir?
Oh yeah, 100%. Like most of my bracket. Apart from Himika winning, like all my bracket.
Ruaka's gonna beat Himika in the first round.
Oh my god, if that happens. Oh my god.
I'm gonna get back at 3 a.m. saying, God damn it.
The Oedatai interference, and she wins with like one of those vegetable crate shots to the head, and I'm like, no!
Wrestling 101, Room 101, whatever it is that we call it.
Aside from that, I think the only real thing that I think I wish I'd done something different here is Unagi going a little bit deeper into the tournament. But again, with me having Starlight Kid going in as deep as there's no other way. I mean, they meet each other in round 2. There's nothing else I can do there. I've got a vision.
It's tough. Now, Rob, correct me if I'm wrong. What does the winner of this gets a wish, correct?
They do get a wish.
Which is usually a title shot, right?
Ordinarily, ever since they ran the first tournament, it has always manifested as a title shot. It's never been explicitly said it has to be a title shot, but most of the time it is a title shot at either the red or the white belt. Most recently, it's been for the white belt.
Well, here's what I'm getting at. If the winner of this tournament wants to challenge the Ace Fusion United States heavyweight champion, Razi Ogawa, you just hit me up on the Twitter and or the Facebook. I will accept that challenge, sir. I'm just calling my shot out right now, brother.
Mate, I completely understand. You're a fighting champion. You want to defend that belt against the best. I understand that. And I respect
but I don't... Now, if it's Himika, oh boy, I better really. If I do a lot of neck bridges, I really better be like Billy Robinson neck bridge, and yeah.
You know how to take a lariat, right?
Yo, damn right.
So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for listening. Obviously, we're going to post our brackets on to Twitter when the podcast drops, so you can tell us how terrible we are at booking, and tell us why Amber is 100% going to win this despite not watching a lick of Stardom. Thank you so much for listening, guys. We really do appreciate it. We hope you do enjoy the Cinderella Tournament. If you fancy subscribing, we are literally everywhere on every podcast platform. You can, of course, subscribe. If you think we've done okay, then please leave us a rating, a 5-star rating if possible, a comment as well. They do really help us fire up the rankings, especially on Apple. You can find us on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, all at the Stardom Cast. Matt, where can they find you?
You can find me on Twitter and or the Instagram. Just search Matt Turner OF.
And just before, obviously you can find me at Real Rob Goodwin, but just before we go, please don't forget that on the 30th of March, which obviously is the day before this podcast drops, we are dropping our Momo Watanabe white belt retrospective. That's going to go out to our white and red belt patrons. Please go check that out. Subscribe to our Patreon, www.patreon.com/the Stardomcast, for loads of bonus content, loads of bonus episodes and things like that. Thank you to everyone who's already subscribed. You guys are awesome. But in the meantime, thank you so much for listening. We'll talk to you guys again soon. Also, just before I forget, we have a tournament to any of our Patreons talking about, of course, our Patreon. Matt, would you like to explain what tournament we've got running at the moment?
Yeah, it's basically this Cinderella tournament that we just previewed. So the bracket is live up on our Twitter. Anybody that is part of the Patreon, whether it's the high-speed tier, the white belt tier, or the red belt tier, you will qualify for it. I believe the poll will close probably on the 2nd of April. Do I have that right, Rob? The day before this starts?
Absolutely correct, yes.
So anybody that has the final 2 participants right, and they get the final right, if there's 20 or more people that have signed up for it, which I think I already have, you will get not only a T-shirt of the new logo of the Stardom cast, which is Mayu Iwatani doing the moonsault. You probably see it in your feed. You will also get a copy of Rob's book that I plug all the time, rightfully so, Living the Dream, Stardom's 10th Anniversary in Review. If you want that on digital or the hard copy, you just let me know. So anybody that has the final 2 and the final winner will get the T-shirt and Rob's book. So whether it's one person wins, 5 people wins, or if it's 10 or 15, I don't know if anybody is going to have the same, due to the fact that me, Rob, and Amber just went over our brackets and we're completely different. I don't know if anybody's going to have the same finals, but if I have to shell out some cash, then so be it, because that's how much I believe in the product and how much I love doing this podcast and how much I enjoy talking to the fans. So by all means, if you're still on the fence about going on the Patreon for as little as $1, you can enter this contest, and you have until the 2nd of April. So happy voting, everyone.
And this time, we will actually talk to you guys again soon. Bye-bye.